welcome to another episode of 10 Minutes with 10 Leaves, the podcast where we break down complex topics into actionable insights in just 10 minutes. I am your host, Bhumika Arora, and today we are diving into AML compliance, its challenges, responsibilities, and why it's more crucial than ever. To help us navigate this important topic, we are joined by Maria, our expert in AML compliance with deep insights into regulatory frameworks and industry best practices. Maria, it's great to have you here.
Thanks, Bhumika. I'm really excited to be here.
All right, Maria, let's start with the basics. We often hear the term KYC. Can you tell us what exactly it is and why is it so important?
Okay. Know your customer is something we all have come across at some point, right? We often get emails or messages from financial institutions reminding us to update our KYC, usually asking for ID and address proof. For example, think KYC check like airport security checks. Just as you show your passport for identity verification and your bags are screened for safety, in similar way, financial institutions verify your ID and address to ensure you're a genuine customer. So as a financial institution, it is essential to verify your customer's identity to ensure that you're dealing with the legitimate individual and not fraudster or criminals.
Okay. And what do you think are the basic documents required for KYC verification?
For ID verification, a government issued document is required. So this could be your valid passport or an Emirates ID, but you should ensure that it is clear and not expired. In the UAE, there's also the option of using UAE Pass, which is a digital identity app for residents and citizens. So basically, UAE Pass makes the process more convenient since it eliminates the need for physical document or in-person visit. Now, when it comes to address proof, the goal is to confirm a person's residential location. Typically, utility bills such as telephone or electricity and water bill, like DEWA bills, are accepted. But they must be recent, usually not older than 3 months. Another commonly accepted document is the UAE tenancy contract, like the Ijari certificate or lease agreement, can also be provided.
Right, Maria. That's, I think, a great explanation. KYC is truly the foundation of AML compliance, ensuring that businesses know who they are dealing with and minimizing risks associated with financial crime. All right, moving on to the next question. As an MLRO, you play a critical role in AML compliance. What aspects of your role do you find most exciting and fulfilling?
Well, Bhumika, everything is exciting about my role. As you must be aware that financial crime is always evolving. So there's this constant challenge of staying ahead, whether it's spotting suspicious activity or adapting to new regulations, or even working with your team to build a strong compliance culture. I would say it's more kind of a detective work that makes it interesting. And also, at the end of the day, it's fulfilling to know that my work actually helps prevent crime and protects the financial system. But with that also comes a huge responsibility, making sure that the business remains compliant while ensuring that the operation also runs smoothly. So it's a balancing act, I would say. And while it's challenging, it's also what makes it more exciting.
Well, that really sounds interesting, Maria. Now, could you please tell us that when training staff on AML compliance, what key areas do you prioritize to ensure effectiveness?
So basically, we have different kinds of training. One is like a basic training which we give to our staff at the time of joining, and the other one is a role-based training. So when training staff on AML compliance, we mainly focus on ensuring that they understand their roles and responsibility, which is very important. They need to know exactly what to look for when dealing with their day-to-day activities. Main thing which we ensure that they clearly understand the reporting procedures and legal responsibilities in spotting and reporting red flags right away. We also use like real world examples to make it relatable and help them to understand and feel confident in handling these situations. It's all about staying alert and knowing how to act quickly. So that is the main thing which we focus on.
I think that makes a lot of sense. Training isn't just about ticking boxes, right? It's also about ensuring that employees feel confident in identifying risks and taking immediate action. Maria, we often hear a term in AML discussions that is willful blindness. What does that mean? And how do you communicate its legal implications and potential liabilities to your staff?
So, yes, willful blindness is a nice term which is used in AML, which refers to a situation where someone intentionally chooses to ignore a red flag or a suspicious activity. Just to give you an example, just imagine an employee who notices a customer making large or unusual transaction that does not match with their KYC profile or a usual activity. So instead of reporting it, if they choose it to ignore, thinking that it's not their problem, and later on if it turns out that the customer was laundering illegal money, and because the employee failed to act, they could be held legally responsible. And this could also lead to fines, job loss, or even criminal charges. Hence, we emphasize our staff to stay vigilant and report red flags immediately, as ignoring them can have serious consequences.
That's a powerful example, Maria. Also, one of the biggest challenges in compliance is documentation. What do you think are the biggest challenges in obtaining required documentation from customers, and how do you address them effectively?
Okay. Usually, Bhumika, we don't face much of an issue. However, sometimes when we request for additional documents, for example, source of funds or source of wealth, and since these are personal and confidential documents, client often sometimes they hesitate and question us as to why we need them. So in such cases, we make sure to speak with the client directly, explain to them that these are the documents which we are asking for regulatory requirement, and it's not something that it's our internal requirement. And we also reassure them that their information will be treated with confidentiality and will be only used for required purpose. But if the client still refuses to provide the document, then we make sure to document the situation properly. In this way, ever if there is an audit or regulatory inspection, we have a clear record showing that we made the request and gave the client the chance to comply. So it's all about maintaining a clear, auditable trail of our efforts to stay compliant and protect the business.
Interesting. Thank you, Maria. With this, we come to an end of this episode. Thank you so much for sharing valuable insights. AML compliance is a complex but essential part of financial integrity, and understanding these challenges and responsibilities is key to staying ahead. That's it for this episode of 10 Minutes with 10 Leaves. Thank you so much for joining us, Maria.
My pleasure, Bhumika. Thanks for having me.
All right, then, see you all next time with more expert insights. Until then, stay curious, stay informed.